right, people, I've been sneaking this in for a while now, but it's finally official. I ordered these months ago, but they finally got them here in the US. My guess is, if you guys listen to me, these are gonna be hard to get for a while. I think we have probably 20 left. I think we got 50 in stock, and probably need to order some more of them. But this is not new to me, newish to me, is the Mirka 3-inch 12 millimeter orbit. It's 12 right here, so it's a long throw 3-inch 12 millimeter dual action polisher. It's 3-inch only. It has single backing plate, not detachable. It has, no question, the best balance. It also has the best output. I think it probably has the best battery. It's the best size. It's, I think, the best 3-inch polisher to ever exist. With the one exception, it doesn't have a trigger lock. So you gotta hold the trigger. But to sort of help offset that, it does have a variable speed trigger. I'll show you that in operation here in a minute. So when you buy it, it comes in a box. I guess I could show you what it comes in a box. I don't want to open this. I'm sure somebody's going to be buying this one soon. But it comes in a box like this, and it has a bunch of little separators and stuff in here. I don't want to mess this up too much, because then technically I'd have to sell this open box. But when you open it up, you get the manual, which you're going to punt. You don't really need the manual if you just listen to what I say. And the puppy's in here. Comes with the tool, comes with the charger, comes with 2 batteries. The tool is for removing the backing plate. I would suggest, normally I throw those kind of tools away, but unless you have some really, really thin flat blade wrenches, you're going to want to make sure that you hang on to that tool, put it in your drawer with your other polishing little random stuff, because you might need it again someday. So the batteries look like this. You know, this is the battery that comes with. I found that I haven't done any testing on how long they charge, how long it takes, but I have yet to get even close to having a discharged battery and needing to go get the second battery. So, I mean, you could probably roll with one battery with this thing. The charger looks like so. Has a little LED indicator on the front that tells you, where you're at from a charge perspective. I would wager it probably takes about 30 minutes to charge, but I feel like runtime, I'm getting hours. Maybe not hours straight, but I'm getting more than enough time out of the battery versus the one that's being charged. And in fact, I don't know that in an entire car that I've killed the battery, and so I don't know what the runtime is, but it's more than adequate. So even in a professional environment, professional sense, where you're running these things all the time, generally speaking, you're going to be, unless you have one person working a 3-inch machine all day, they're going to be swapping back and forth between 3 and 5 and 1 and some other sizes. So I don't think the battery is really an event. Same thing with the Milwaukee. The only time that I find that I run through batteries quickly is if I use like a CB 3.0, a little thinner battery, if I wanted to drop some weight off the machine, if I'm working some contours or something. But generally speaking, I'm getting, the need to maybe swap batteries once or twice at the very most in a project. And normally I'll do it preventatively. So batteries, non-event. You have 6 speeds, and I just figured this out a few seconds ago, but when you pull the trigger, it'll light up here, it'll light up green, and when if you go to the start, if you go to 0 or 1, I guess, you'll notice when I click the button, the right LED lights up red. And so if I start from 1, I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So there's 7 speeds. I think that's correct. Let's try that again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. No, there's 6. Thought there was 6. Let me do it one more time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6. So if I hit it, so what it'll do is it'll flash red and let you know where it's at. The one thing that is a little bit of a rub, it doesn't tell you what speed you're on. So now I'm on speed 6, and if I lay into this thing, if I pull the trigger all the way down, it's gonna frickin' rip the pad off the car. That's the thing about this machine. I think it was Scott HD's video that I saw a long time ago where he was just disintegrating pads with this sucker. They're just melting pads. Because I think one of his tests he was doing was top speed. So at the highest output, you know, maybe he was doing a runtime test or something. I don't remember exactly what he was testing, but I saw this thing just nuking pads. I haven't experienced that because I'm generally going to run it. We're going to find out here in a minute. I'm not sure what speed I've been running it at, but I think it's probably speed 2 or 3. So the headroom on this thing for torque and output is freaking insane. It is free spinning. So there's no real cooling mechanism or cooling shroud like the Rupes has. Again, I haven't had any issues with heating. There's no ventilation. This is a sealed head. So there's 3 screws on the top, I guess, for future serviceability if necessary. But there is a little bit of venting here. The counterweight is right out front, right underneath the backing plate. But I found that I haven't had any issues at all with heating or overheating. The thing just frickin' works. And Mike's used this, I've used this, so I've probably done about 5 cars now with this. The only rub that I found thus far, my friend Bradley down at Naples Auto Armor got one, and he nuked the backing plate Velcro. So we were sure to get to a Mirka. So if you're professional, I think that you probably want to buy yourself an extra backing plate just because you're not going to want to use any other machine other than this in the future. But if you're a sort of a semi-pro-ish novice like me, I think this backing plate is probably going to last me for darn near forever. But he did notice that the Velcro stopped sticking. The backing plate didn't fail, but it stopped sticking. So this sucker is, you know, form factor, super small, super easy to manage. The only thing I think in a professional environment you might find is that if you were working 3-inch and you were doing a large panel for a really long time, having to pull the trigger can get annoying. But I found that, you know, in a perfect world, the trigger would lock and I could kind of hold the machine like this. But I also found that the variable speedness of this trigger is nice to have. So you kind of, I guess we take our lumps here. Can't have a perfect machine. If they put a trigger lock on this thing with a variable speed trigger, we have pretty much perfection if they put some sort of indicator of exactly what speed you're at. But I'm telling you, when you're using this, I'm going to show you on the GTS here on the panel, after 5 seconds of doing this, the sound it makes, it's unbelievable. So let me just show you a difference. Let me take the pads off here. The Milwaukee is reasonably smooth. I say it's like 95%. Oh, by the way, this is coming. Stainless steel tips on our press saws. I think we finally solved the tip splitting issue. But if you compare to my new standard, which is the 15 millimeter Milwaukee Fuel, if you compared this in balance to Rupes, I say it's like 85 to 90% of the way there. The LHR 15 is still a little more balanced, but generally speaking, this thing's pretty close. So, but when I pull this, and you can hear, I mean, you can almost hear, you can certainly see the vibration, but you can almost hear it. Now watch this puppy. That's at full speed. Yeah, I think I generally run this thing at speed 1, 2, 3, speed 3, maybe 4. But see how the trigger's variable? I can run it a little bit quicker and then just adjust. And it's pretty linear, so I can control this. But what I'm getting at here is how freaking quiet this thing is. It's insane. If you compare that to the new Rupes, which I think the new Rupes is still nice. So if I run the Rupes at speed 3 or similar, the other thing is it stops. It has like a braking system. that to me is worth every frickin' penny. Now this machine is a bit unbalanced in comparison, I think, where their future refinements will be in this. This does have some ergonomic advantages, also has the trigger advantage. There's no variability in the trigger on the 3-inch, you know, the hybrid HLR 75, but this does have some, you know, some contourability advantages. But the head is a lot bigger. I mean, you just look at the height difference of the head, pretty substantially different. I think that you're going to find that most of the time you can get this in places that you can't get this. The other thing that I'm going to work with them over time, I'd like to see is I'd like them to see they shift the battery. So I would like to see this be flat and flush, and take the weight of the battery and move it to the top side. Because like in here, at times I find myself kind of clipping the battery on the paint, you know, when I'm in tighter areas. You can always kind of keep the polish, but if I'm kind of sweeping or scrubbing or, you know, hitting contours, I may end up with the battery hitting. So again, another perfect, if we're critiquing this in a perfect world, I would keep this flush, and let's say the battery was like sitting up here. You know, if they could offset the cells of the battery to come upward. I'd almost rather the battery be like this, in this orientation, so it's thinner left to right, and just have all of the extra weight of the battery sitting up over top of the machine if I had a choice. We're gonna see, you know, this is a Finnish, from Finland, is that the right word to say? I think these are made in Finland. I think that's where Mirka is. If you're unfamiliar, Mirka is like a 90-year-old, 85-year-old company with a lot of ties in the abrasives, the sanding world, body shop sanding world, especially in, you know, high-end European type paint booths and body shops. And then this thing is just like a catalog item, line item in their catalog. And I reached out to them and said, look, do you guys realize you have the best polisher on the planet? Can we make a 5-inch? Can we make a 1-inch? And so hopefully if you guys buy a bunch of these things, we will have that possibility in the future. So let's use this thing on the car. I'll show you how it functions, how it works. I've been kind of teasing this in some of the videos. The moment that I got this thing in my hands, I was like smiling ear to ear, just completely in love with it. I'm using Rupes. These are the microfiber cutting pads. This is the yellow version, so it has sort of the medium back. They do it white, yellow, blue. I find that I like the yellows and whites the most because there's more contour. And then I'm using Griot's correction compound here on this. Let's work on, I'll put the car up and we'll kind of work on this area, and I'll kind of show you in this section. So I will tell you, I find myself using a 3-inch in much larger sections than I've done in the past, because this is so smooth and so quiet and so comfortable. It doesn't have that grinding. I don't feel the need to put headphones on. It's just a magical experience. The other thing that's a little weird is when you first turn it on, it takes a second. Once you get it going, then it'll go instantly. But once it times out, when the lights turn off, it takes, so you hold the trigger, you think, oh shoot, my battery's dead. So I think it takes probably a beat, maybe like 1.5 seconds for it to turn on. So that's a little quirk to it. Yeah, I think. Yeah, I find myself between 3 and 4. Really easy to keep flat. It's a little odd that my hand is choked up because the trigger's here. So with battery powered machines, we've kind of taught ourselves to stay out, you know, so one hand, so your main hand here, and then your guide hand just kind of hangs off the back. So I feel like your guide hand becomes more or less of a guide hand and more of a directive hand. So I find myself now controlling the machine. So I'm controlling the pad flatness from pushing on the head, but I'm steering the machine a lot more. So I'm a lot more direct input with what normally was my guide, or my follow hand, if you will. And so I find myself managing the trigger as well with a variable speed. It's just, listen how smooth that is. I'm carrying on a conversation with you where normally I would have to be yelling at you. It's easy for me to do edge work and get the pad right up to the edge. You don't need to do any modification of the machine right out of the box. Charge the battery, 10 seconds later, you're ready to go. The thing right out of the box is a perfect professional grade machine. Now, the biggest drawback, I'm sorry I didn't purposely leave this out, this sucker is 880 bucks. And that's not Mormon price gouging. I didn't freaking set the price. I mean, I guess import costs, small company, small country, bring it into the US. Maybe, hopefully, if we get some volume on these suckers, maybe they'll lower the price a bit. But they are price protected, so theoretically, anywhere you buy this thing, you're going to pay the same price. I think that was a big deterrent for me. I didn't buy one of them. Somebody had made a suggestion in the video, and I think maybe they sent me the link to Scott HD's video, and then that's when I watched. I'm like, 900 bucks, I'm not interested. The new Rupes is great, it's fine. I don't feel the need to get one. And then with I feel like my Rupes has gotten grindier and grindier, and so I decided to get one. And then I opened it up and I used it for 5.5 seconds and I just freaking lost my mind. Like, this is the greatest machine. This is the best polisher to ever exist. It's incredible. Completely changes the user experience. So normally, like this section here, I would do my best to get in here with a 5-inch. And just say, you know what, I don't want to deal with a 3-inch here. I'm going to do this little rocker section with a 5-inch. But now, because of how much I love this machine and how smooth it is, I find myself doing sections that I otherwise would have done with a bigger machine. So you hear me managing the trigger. It's that freaking good, people, I'm telling you. I know you're crapping a brick right now. 900 bucks, 880 bucks for this sucker. I'm freaking telling you. This is one of the best detailing products of all time. And it's been out for several years, and I don't know how it slipped past me. There's probably 7 of you that have been using this thing saying, told you, Dumbo. You know, I've been using this thing for 2.5 years, it's great. But the vast majority of us have probably just said, you know, that's too much money, I'm not doing that. Even snob Mormon here is like, that's a lot of freaking money. $880 for the machine. I mean, that's insane. But it's freaking fantastic. Let me show you the one of the little drawbacks here on the contours of the Cayman. Having a battery is magical because I can walk all over here and blow it out the door instead of in my garage. And it is, I haven't needed it, but it's extremely nice to have the headroom. That if I really wanted to get after it, I could frickin' nuke this pad on this car. So pad stalling, I haven't even found, I guess I never even put a line on the darn backing plate, but I haven't found the need to even put a line on the backing plate because I find that even in this contour, I can get it to stall out. Like right here, it'll stall out. But it's pretty difficult to get this thing to stall. I already did this section is why. So maybe the battery isn't as quite impeding me as much as I thought it was. I can't really come that way because I'd hit. So I guess as long as I stay sideways. Maybe it was on the Evo, on the rear wing. is where I felt like the battery was getting in my way a bit. Oh yeah, this trigger is magical. So Mirka, if you're listening, what I would love to have is this trigger, but with the option to lock it. It just stops. It stops. It's so freaking good. So good, people. I mean, what else is there to say? So somebody did ask me, which is a good question. I said, Matt, you know, I really love that thing. I'm watching you mess with it, and I think I want one, but I don't have the funds for that. Could I get rid of my 5-inch machine and my 3-inch machine, and since it's so smooth, could I do the whole car? I think you would be hating life trying to do the frickin' whole roof and the whole big panels. You could get away with doing this whole car with this thing, but like I said, I'm doing much bigger sections with the 3-inch than I normally would have. I'm doing areas where I would attempt to squeeze a 5-inch so I could get it done quicker because of how smooth and nice and ergonomic this thing is. But because you're working, especially if you're a professional, you're working this trigger all day long, I mean, you're gonna get uncomfortable, I think, quicker than you may like. So this to me is an additive machine. And this entire car, I have the 1-inchers out, the quads, the 4 1-inchers, the 2 short necks and 2 long necks that I have set up. On this car, I haven't needed it yet, but I've only done the top section, so I may need it on the front bumper. But I've done everything with these 2 bros. And this is the combination, man. I've got all those other polishers I showed you the other day in a video. I mean, I haven't even gotten them out. I'm polishing this whole darn car 2-step. And I don't think I will get them out. This is just so pleasant to use. I cannot stress to you enough. I know I make lots of proclamations on this channel, but I haven't been this adamant about a detailing product. And I think I need to be that adamant because of how expensive this thing is. This is a major investment, $880. And you'd probably want to buy an extra packing plate. I don't know how much. I mean, packing plate's probably $15 or something like that. But we have this in the store. We have it available, and I don't think that I was a little concerned with not having a trigger lock about using it, and maybe I wouldn't use it as much. But this is doing like probably 40% of the last 5 cars I've done. I've done a lot of cars here recently, and this thing is amazing. You know what I didn't think about? Let's test this out. Part of the reason why this thing's so darn expensive is because it's Bluetooth capable. So I got the Mirka app. Tool's not showing up, so I say I can't see my tool. Work a cordless tool. It says take the battery out. Go next. Place the battery in. Next. Press and hold. Press and hold the RPM plus button while pressing the trigger button. Press and hold. Middle light should be, middle LED is flashing to indicate Bluetooth is active. Try again. Aha, there it is. AROP 214, boom. Cool. Okay, so current speed. Cool. 7,000 RPMs, caution. $3,900, 4,000 RPMs at speed 1. $4,506 RPM at speed 2. Current battery levels at 76%. 4875, 4867 at speed 3. Speed 4, 5,462 RPM. speed 5, 58.19, 58.30. And then what was the other, roughly 7,000. 6,500. Oh, extra speed, turbo, 69.68. So it tells us our battery health, how many times it's charged, what our total usage time. So I have 5 hours and 40 minutes into this sucker. So I've used this thing a lot. Maybe not a lot, but a decent amount. Settings, okay, so this is where what we could do is we could set a fixed speed. We could set an auto stop. Oh wow, you could just set it to auto stop at like 60 seconds. Let's say 30 seconds. Does that mean you still have to pull the trigger? Set. So I don't think that helps with, you still have to pull the trigger, I think. Let's just see. Yeah, that doesn't help us. So that's not like the equivalent. What I was thinking is that we could set an auto stop.
I think that's what he was saying, is if they can do that, why can't they?
Yeah. Yeah, it would be cool, yeah, if they could program, pull the trigger, turns on to a fixed RPM, and then maybe touch the trigger to turn off. So yeah, you're right. I mean, that ought to be some really easy software. They wouldn't have to lock the trigger at all. That'd be sick. Right, so if in the software we could convince them, I gotta stop showing you guys all of my darn secrets, all everything I come up with. But that would be sick. So I pull the trigger, it turns on, it stays on at a fixed RPM, and then I hit the trigger again and it turns off, and they ought to be able to do that in the software. That would be freaking cool. So let's turn our auto stop off. So there's a little bit you can mess with. So yeah, maybe the other thing we could consider, so let's say they couldn't do that. I mean, could they make us a machine without Bluetooth connectivity and save us 150 bucks, you know? Is that, how much does that cost to add to the thing? So anyway, just was playing with that. Wanted to give you that little bit of a side. So it is Bluetooth connectable if you're looking for stats. Maybe if you're trying to dial in your process for your guys professionally, like, so you could give them an idea what RPMs are at each speed. Maybe you could have, use that as you're teaching, but I think you could very simply just show them, I want you on 3 clicks, or I want you on 4, speed 4, and then work your trigger from there. Maybe that's something you can consider doing. But battery, I've been using this for several days and I'm still 75%. So we have it available on obsessedgarage.com. Appreciate it if you'd hook me up, buy this from me. Margins are, I think, pretty terrible on it, but at least make a few bucks on this for selling it to you. We have them in stock at the moment. If we don't, chances are if we don't have it, then no one has it, at least in the beginning here. I would like to, I'm going to be meeting with the national sales manager here recently and coming up. And if we make some changes to this, I'm going to try to get some exclusivity on it. So that way then I can wholesale to other retailers. But we'll see. I think you guys are going to want this. And I think this is going to be the best-selling machine of maybe not this year, but next year. As you put this on your Christmas list, you want this on your Black Friday list. I wouldn't wait. I'd want it right frickin' now. If you're a professional and you have a successful business and you have the funds to do it, you probably want a couple of these, 2, 3 of them for your guys. Your guys are gonna love this thing. It's absolutely fantastic. So anyway, Mirka, we'll put a link in the description, put a link in the cards up in the top right, and I'm gonna keep rolling on my Cayman GTS here. I love polishing white. I know that you guys don't like white, some of you, but I think white is the most fun paint to polish. It's harder to see defects, but when you get it right, it just looks fantastic. So thanks for watching, thanks for your support. Mirka, you did a good deed here. Now we need you to make a 5-inch, and we need you to make a long throw 1-inch, and we need you to have trigger locks to all of them with a display that shows us what speed we're at. If we do that with maybe a little bit of adjustment to the battery, game over. Best polishers in the world. Thanks for watching. As always, stay tuned for more crazy. I'm gonna keep chasing this stuff. See you soon.